Hello, my name is Louise. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you've probably seen from the title of this video, today's video is going to be talking about why I dropped out of university, which I've already announced on Instagram, so a lot of people who follow me online already know, but I really wanted to sit down and talk about it because I think it's an important thing to discuss. Not necessarily to normalise, but to think about and examine, because we have a real mental health problem and a real capitalist problem in our society, and it's important to inspect these things and talk about them. I feel really nervous, but I have rehearsed this in my head so many times, so it should be fine. I have decided that in order to keep this video somewhat coherent and not too rambly, we're going to split it up into 3 sections. Firstly, I'm going to talk to you about what it is that I'm actually doing and explaining what I've actually done, because it's not as simple as just dropping out of university. It's a bit more complicated than that. Secondly, I'm going to talk to you about why I've decided to do it. There's a couple of main reasons, and I just want to go over those. I think that's the most important part of this video. And thirdly, I'm going to talk to you about how I'm feeling about it and how I feel about the decision, because I made it almost 2 weeks ago now, so I've had time to sit on it, and I want to tell you how I'm feeling 2 weeks later. So firstly, let's start with what have I done. So I technically still am a student at the University of Bristol, and I was studying a 4-year integrated masters in engineering. This is a really common thing in engineering and in science subjects. But you essentially do your bachelor's and your master's in one, because it's quite desirable in engineering to have a master's degree. It helps you getting chartered, and so a lot of people want to do a master's degree, and so you do it all as one, and that way you count as an undergraduate the whole time. When you graduate, you don't get a bachelor's and a master's, you just get a master's, and it makes the process so much easier. You don't have to reapply for your master's, you just carry on. You don't have to get extra funding or anything because you're still an undergrad. It's just the same as your other years. You get your student finance from the government. It's exactly the same. It's still £9,500 or whatever it is. And so I have decided not to complete my master's, but I am eligible to graduate with a bachelor's. So because I've done the first 3 years, I'm entitled to a bachelor's. So that is my plan. I'm going to graduate with a bachelor's instead of a master's. It's a bit confusing, I know, but as I say, I'm not leaving university with nothing, and I probably wouldn't do this if it wasn't possible for me to get my bachelor's, because I've already put in so much work, and it would be sad to leave with nothing. But I'm still leaving with a degree. It's a very good degree from a very good university, and I believe I'm going to get a very good mark. So it's really not that big a deal, because I am still coming away with a really valuable and well-respected qualification. Yeah, okay, so let's talk about why. Why am I doing this? Firstly, my mental health has been on the floor for a long time. Specifically the last 2 years, I think since the start of 2020 was when I really noticed my mental health plummeting again. But to be honest, I've struggled with my mental health my entire life. It's just one of those things. I have struggled with anxiety and depression for a long time. But it got pretty bad 2 years ago, and that's when I started having therapy. And then recently, in the last 3 months, it's been difficult. It's been really bad. And the week before I dropped out of university, I spent the whole week in bed. I barely got out of bed that week because life was unbearable. I was like, my responsibilities are too much. I cannot do them. I spent the whole week in bed because getting out of bed was a terrifying prospect. So I spent that week in bed, and I'd already thought about dropping out of university. The thing is, I wanted to drop out before Christmas, and I said to my parents, I'm thinking about dropping out, and they were like, just hang on till Christmas, have some time off and see how you feel. And I did that, and I did feel a bit better, and I managed the first week or 2 of university, and I was feeling a bit better, but then quickly things just you know, the first couple of weeks were like this, and it just snowballed and dived. And that's when I spent that week in bed. Like, I feel like I tried to have a fresh mindset and to come back to university after Christmas and be positive and try again, but I couldn't do it. And then two things happened. Firstly, I had a meeting with my supervisor on the Monday, and this was after the week I'd spent in bed. On the Monday I had a meeting with my supervisor, and I'd messaged him being like, look, I'm really struggling, can we have a meeting to try and turn things around? And that was meant to be the point of this meeting, was to, you know, turn things around and get me back on track so that I didn't spend another week in bed. And he was really nice, and I don't blame him at all. And talking through things was actually really helpful in hindsight, but I left that meeting and I cried, and I came home and I sobbed because I still felt awful. Like, it didn't help get things back on track. I still had no clue what I was doing. I still felt completely inadequate when it came to this project. I still had no motivation and I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember saying to my boyfriend, like, I don't know what to do because I can't do this. And then the next day we got our January exam results. And I had been joking with my friends and family for a long time that if I'd failed any of my exams, I was going to drop out, because I had literally reached the point where I had a countdown on my phone, counting down to the last day of term. And to do a resit would mean extending that. And that in my head was just not, I was like, I can't do this. So obviously I have my exam results and I had failed one of them. And then in my head, those two things, that meeting with that supervisor and that exam result, were just the final straw. Like, it wasn't a rash decision. As I said, I'd wanted to drop out before Christmas and I had tried again, and those two things were just the final straw. Like, I just couldn't do it anymore. So partly the reason why I'm dropping out is because my mental health was just on the floor anyway. But the second reason is because university was making my mental health worse. And I've been having therapy for the last 2 years and trying to unpick this and work out exactly what it is. But the main thing is that I really struggle with open-ended tasks. Like, I really don't like being given freedom to do whatever I want. It just doesn't work for me. And there is a lot of that towards the end of your degree, and even more so in the masters. And I didn't realise just how different this year was going to be from the other years, because it is this integrated masters. I assumed it was going to be kind of similar, but actually this year of my degree has been a lot more different to the other years, and there's been a lot more open-ended stuff. And I obviously knew there was going to be a little bit of it, and I was like, oh, I'll manage, it'll be fine. But there's been so much of it this year and I hate it. And it makes me have panic attacks. It just really triggers something inside of me. I was having a panic attack or an anxiety attack most days. It got to the point. Most days I was having an anxiety attack, which is not fun. Like, all my friends were like, oh, you only have like 2 or 3 months left. And I was like, yeah, but 2 or 3 months when you're having an anxiety attack every single day is a freaking long time. Like, it's not. So this is the thing, is there's this weird relationship between university and my mental health, where my mental health was awful, and so I was doing badly in university, and then because I was doing badly in university, that was really impacting my mental health, and it was just this vicious cycle of the two. Yeah. And I guess to add to that, I really don't like academia, and I'm realising that, is that I love knowledge and education, but academia is just not for me. I don't like it. I never have. I've struggled with school and university for a long time, and I think most people who've been following me for a long time can see that although I am intelligent and although I love learning, I really struggle with the formalities of education and the exam system and mental health, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. I was just fed up of putting myself through this agony. Yeah, and then I guess the final reason is, well, this is more of an existential reason, but the final thing that I wanted to talk about in this section of the video is about capitalism and hustle culture, and how I got to the point where my mental health was so bad, I was like, why am I putting this degree over my mental health? We live in a world where as long as you're successful on paper, it doesn't matter what your mental health is like. And that sucks, and I hate it. Sorry, I have a really itchy nose. I hate that for so long I have put my degree and my education above my mental health. And I've done it for so long, and I kind of do see the value in that, like the short-term pain, long-term gain, but it got to the point where I was like, this is ridiculous, like I can't do this anymore. And I'm reflecting a lot on what I want in life. And my plan for the next 6 months at least is to just try and get a minimum wage job, because I need some money to support myself, but I just want the least stressful job I can find. I understand that minimum wage jobs aren't glamorous, but it's a different kind of stress, and I think that's what I need. I just need a change of pace, and I'm excited to try a different pace of life. I just want to have a job, ideally 9 to 5, and just come home and be able to relax and be able to spend the weekends focusing on my mental health and my hobbies. And I want to try it. And my plan is to give engineering a try. Maybe in like a year's time I might apply for grad schemes for engineering. That is still where I see myself long term, but I'm open to options, and I feel excited to take risks and to see what's out there. And that really is what this feels like. It feels like I'm taking a risk, but I reached the point where I was like, I can't not take this risk. Like, things were so bad, I was like, it's not really an option anymore. And secondly, I've reached a point where I feel excited to take this risk. It doesn't feel like a terrifying jump into the unknown. It feels like a leap of faith, you know, like I feel positive about it. So I guess those are my reasons. I know it's a bit rambly because, as I say, there isn't a black and white reason. It's just me thinking about what I want in life and my mental health and where I'm at, and yeah. Okay, and then lastly, let's talk about how I'm feeling. So as I said, it's been about 2 weeks since I made the decision, and I already feel so much better. I feel so much better. You know that John Green quote that's in Paper Towns that says, it's something like, leaving is the hardest thing in the world, until you do, and then it's the goddamn easiest thing in the world. I can't remember what the quote is, but it's something like that. And it's so true that for so long I've fretted about the decision. Like I said, I've been thinking about this for months, and I finally reached the point where I was sure about the decision, and as soon as I made it, I felt so much better. I guess the other thing is that, thinking about it, I think I'm glad I stuck it out, because I think had I given up before Christmas like I wanted to, I think that would have been a slightly hasty decision, and I think I would have regrets, and I'd be like, was that the right thing to do? But I feel like I tried to stick it out, and it wasn't working, and that in my head makes me feel confident about my decision, because I can honestly say I tried, and I can honestly say it wasn't working, and that it wasn't me having a bad week, because I stuck it out for months after I wanted to give up the first time. Really, I've wanted to give up for like the last 2 years, but you know, particularly in the last 3 months was when I was seriously thinking I want to drop out. But as I say, I already feel so much better, and again, that thing of like, it feels like a risk, but it feels like I'm excited about it, you know? I'm excited for a different change of pace. Then I guess the other thing to talk about is that I'm still experiencing anxiety. Like, it hasn't magically gone away. I have been taking antidepressants since Christmas, which was another thing I tried to do to help, you know? Like, I could see that my mental health was so bad, so I started taking antidepressants. And that, honestly, it's so hard to tell at the moment, because so much has happened in my life, and because of this medication, I don't have like a control almost to tell what's affecting what. Like, it's really hard to tell what's being caused by the medication and what's being caused by the changes in my life. But what I've noticed is that I haven't felt depressed in a long time, which is really nice. It's nice to not feel depressed. I feel so much lighter, and maybe that is the medication. However, I still am really struggling with anxiety. And annoyingly, that was the thing that I wanted help with, so I need to book a doctor's appointment in the next week or so and go back and talk to them about it. But I'm still feeling very anxious, and I've noticed in particular when I wake up, I'm often like hit by a wave of anxiety, but then as the day goes on, it goes away. And I've also been really struggling with physical symptoms. I've been having headaches and migraines and stomach aches and feeling tired and exhausted and dizzy and those kind of things, to varying extents. Like right now I feel it a little bit, but not much, it's fine. Whereas other times I felt it really badly. Yesterday I spent most of the day in bed just because I was really struggling with these physical symptoms. And again, I don't know if that is the medication, or if it's the stress of the last 2 years catching up to me. I mean, it has caught up to me before, like it's not like I've not felt these symptoms before, but it's so hard to know whether it's a result of life or a result of the medication or something else, or I don't know. But I am still really struggling with anxiety and with physical symptoms of anxiety as well as mental symptoms. So that's fun, but I'm just trying to ride through it. You know, it's not too bad. It's not unbearable. Some days it is. Like yesterday I spent the day in bed, but today I feel good. I'm going to try and have a nice weekend, and yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Like I say, it's not, you know, I don't have a nice shiny bow to tie on things yet. I'm hoping that in 6 months' time I can look back on this and be really happy with this decision. But right now, things are up in the air because I don't know what I'm doing. I'd like a job. I think that would really help, both with me feeling a bit more stable and also probably with like giving me some routine and things. But right now I'm kind of in the unknown and things are scary and I don't know what things are going to be like. Yeah, I could ramble on for ages, but I don't think I want this video to be too long, so I think I'm going to stop there. But if there's anything I haven't answered, leave a comment down below. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Anyway, let's stop talking. Thank you for watching.